Hey everyone, Jolt here. I've received a number of requests and questions on GitHub and on Discord about automatically performing certain actions when you open a drawing. Two particular examples are, in one case, the person wants to automatically switch to the hand tool when opening a drawing on mobile, so this is the hand tool. The other request was about automatically enabling the auto draw for pen script, or for that matter, any other script. So in this video, I want to show you how to do this. Warning, this video is going to be more technical. I'm going to go into scripting, we're going to look at code, we are going to look at templater, we are going to look at a number of technical things. I'm going to go pretty fast. My assumption is if you want to understand it more, you can stop the video, you can rewind, you can rewatch, and hopefully I'm going to be able to give you some pointers of finding your way in Excalidraw to make all of this happen. So let's dive in, let's get started. So we'll start by opening the Obsidian Developer Console. You do this by pressing Ctrl-Shift-I or Command-Option-I on a Mac, and that will open this window on the right hand side. Now the window might look slightly different, but what you need to look for is the console right here, and I'm going to clear the console so we have a clean sheet to work from. And I'm going to use this image, the image of the Monkey King, as our reference image to play with today. So every time when I want to experiment with Excalidraw, I first start by defining my Excalidraw variable. So I start with EA equals ExcalidrawAutomate. So ExcalidrawAutomate is automatically installed when you install Excalidraw. And I like the short form of EA, that's why I just simply always start like this. Now, ExcalidrawAutomate works on the active drawing, but you need to set which drawing to work on. So the next function I always run, and this is really just autopilot, is EA set view, like this. And I just use the brackets right after that, and I press enter, and with this, ExcalidrawAutomate automatically attached itself to this drawing on the left hand side. Now I have some prior knowledge, and I'm going to try to walk you through how you can find out these things for yourself. But in this case, I know that there is a function on the Excalidraw API that allows me to change the tool to the hand tool. So let me show you how I would experiment with this. What I would do is, first of all, I would define my API variable. So ExcalidrawAutomate has this function get Excalidraw API. And when I have the API, I can list all the functions in the API by just simply typing in API like this and opening this toggle right here. And I can see these are the functions that are published by Excalidraw for you to use. These are not part of ExcalidrawAutomate, these are published by the Excalidraw package. Now if you look through here, you will find this tool called setActiveTool. So that is the tool that we, or the function that we want to call. But of course the issue is you don't know how to call setActiveTool, you don't know what values to pass to setActiveTool. So we know that we want to call API setActiveTool, but the question is, what do I put in the bracket? So for that, I'm going to show you a trick how you can find that out yourself. So I'm going to come here to GitHub, and this is the Excalidraw GitHub. So this is not the plugin GitHub, this is the GitHub for the Excalidraw project. And here in the search, I'm just going to type in setActiveTool like this. And you can see that this search is going to run on the Excalidraw repository, and when I press enter, then I'm going to get a bunch of hits that are within the Excalidraw repository. And here I can immediately see how to use the tool. So I can see that the tool is used in this sense that it says set active tool, and then it passes an object. So this is the bit that I'm interested in, object that sets the type to a value. And in terms of the value, well, I'm not going to now search here. I don't immediately see the value, but I'm going to show you a bit later how to find out the value as well. For now, I'll come back here and I'm going to show you the function in action. So I'm going to add my object saying type, and I know that the tool is called hand, and then I'm going to close the brackets and press enter, and voila, you can see that automatically the hand tool was selected. So how did I know that it's the hand tool, or how do you find out which tool it is? There's another trick for that, and for that you need to ask for the application state again through the API. So this is the get app state function, and this is something I recommend looking at if you want to understand what's under the hood in Excalidraw. So I'm going to type in API get app state like this, and I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to again open this object. And here immediately you can see that the app state includes right at the beginning the active tool, and you can see type hand. And let me just show you what happens if I switch tools. Maybe I'm going to switch to the rectangle tool, and again I run get app state and I open this toggle, and you will immediately see that now the active tool is type rectangle. So this is how I knew that my active tool is the hand tool. So let's summarize what we know until now. Well, we know that we can access the API through EA get Excalidraw API, and we also know that the set active tool function by passing an object that says type hand is going to do the trick for me. So now comes the next point of how I make Excalidraw execute this function on startup. So for this, I'm going to switch to Markdown view mode. So I'm going to switch this drawing to Markdown view mode, and you can see my front matter here. If you don't see the front matter, then you need to go to Obsidian settings, you need to go to editor, and here under properties in document, you need to select source. Now, if you select, because it's probably hidden, or if it's visible, then you will get this view, which is the default Obsidian view. I personally don't like this view because I find it hard to, well, first of all, these rows are short and I cannot read the full Excalidraw command as well, or property. And for me, I'm old-fashioned. I like the old type of view better. So I'm going to switch to source mode. And here within the front matter, I have a front matter called Excalidraw dash, and if I type Excalidraw dash, then I have this suggester, and you can see here that I have the onload script. And here there's already an example of what you could put in the onload script, but this is not what I'm going to put in the onload script, but I'm going to, so in the onload script, the EA object is already available. So that's the ExcalidrawAutomate object already configured for this view. So you don't need to run set view, and you don't need to run EA equals ExcalidrawAutomate. That's done for you automatically. All you need to do is here, you need to write EA get Excalidraw API. So with this, I got the API object, and then I'm going to set active tool, and I'm going to write type hand. Now notice that because I have the quotation marks in the beginning, I'm just using the single quotation marks in there, but I could turn it around as well. But just notice that these are two different type of quotation marks there. And when I'm done, and when I switch to Excalidraw, so I click here to open as a drawing, then immediately you see that here I have the hand tool active. Now this is not exactly what we wanted, but this was a good demonstration of how you get to the hand tool, because what we wanted is for this to happen when we are in mobile view mode. For that, there's an Obsidian API that you can use, and you can access the Obsidian API by typing in app. And in this case, the command that we are looking for is mobile. Now, of course, if you don't know it's app.isMobile, you have exactly the same option as before. So I can click on app, I can click to open this, and I can start to review all the functions here and explore these functions. But in this case, I do know that the function I'm looking for is app.isMobile, and of course I'm on a desktop, so in this case this is not a mobile. But now if I come back to my markdown view mode and I come to my excalidraw-onload-script, I can write here if app.isMobile, then do this. And with this drawing, when I open this drawing as an Excalidraw drawing on a mobile, it will automatically turn to the hand tool. Now it didn't because I'm on a desktop. I can show you that this works. I open this again in markdown view mode. I add an exclamation mark here. The exclamation mark says that if it is not mobile, so if it's a desktop, then it should run the script. So when I switch over to Excalidraw drawing, then you can see that my hand tool was activated. Now you could say that, Jolt, this is great, but do I need to do this one by one for each of my drawings? No, of course. And there are two different options that you can do. Let me show you first the easier option. So I'm going to copy this script to my clipboard, copy. And here in my, here I'm going to use the quick switcher to open my Excalidraw template file. So you have an Excalidraw template file in plugin settings. So here in Excalidraw under basic, you can set your template file. And you can see here I have a video that explains all the nuts and bolts of the template. But if you set a template, then whatever you put in the template is going to be used for your next drawing. And this is great because you can set your font face, your font color, whatever you want. But in this case, I'm going to again switch to markdown mode. And here in the front matter, I'm going to add our script. And I'm just going to switch back to my drawing. And now I'm going to open a new drawing. And that drawing, if I switch to markdown view mode, will already have my script in here. Now, there's one thing that I want you to pay attention to, and this can trip you up, so I'm just letting you know about the templates, that here, if I delete my template, then it will deceptively look as if I have a template, because that is the pre-filled hint in this field, and the hint looks very much like the text itself. You can see that the color is slightly different, so when I type in Excalidraw template, then it becomes slightly stronger, but unfortunately this is not strong enough of a difference. So if the template doesn't work for you, then most probably you didn't fill it in. You can check it, because then you cannot select the text. So you can see here that now I'm not able to select the text, but if I paste in Excalidraw template here, then I can select the text, and this means that I have my template file in the Excalidraw folder and the file is called template. So I think that's just a side note. But where we got to was the following. We created our onStart or onload script, and we added a check if the app is mobile, then it should switch to the active hand tool. We looked at the Excalidraw API. You understand how you can search GitHub to find out whether you want to use the hand tool, and we inserted this in the template, so all our new drawings open like this. So now this was the first approach that I wanted to show you. Now let's look at the auto draw for pen script, and here we're going to look at two additional things that we haven't looked at until now. One is how can you find out how can you run a script? So that's question number one. Question number two, there's actually a different, better way to add your auto start script to Excalidraw, so I'm going to show you that as well. And before we go there, I'm just going to clean up my template here. I don't need this in my template file. And we're going to close this here. So how do I know how can I run a script, an Excalidraw script from code? Well, the easy thought that you need to keep in mind is all of the scripts are available on the command palette. So here I can type auto draw for pen, and that is going to run the script. So what does this mean? It means that this is available on the Obsidian API under Commons. So I'm not going to explore in detail how you can find this out, but of course if you type in app and you start to experiment, you will find this also on the Obsidian members group on Discord. You can ask questions and you'll get help, and there's plenty of online help about this as well. So what I want to show you is within app there's an object called commands, and if I just type in commands again like this, and I type a square bracket and a quotation mark, then I can start to write Excalidraw. Actually it's Obsidian Excalidraw plugin downloaded, and you get the idea. So here you can see all of the downloaded scripts. So for example, here's the auto draw for pen script. Now instead of auto draw for pen script, I'm going to use the set grid script, because auto draw for pen is going to be, well, it's not going to be visible on screen, but the set grid script is. So I'm just going to come here and type in set grid like this. So we found our script. It's the Obsidian Excalidraw plugin download set grid script, or whichever script you want. So now I'm selecting only this part, the name of the script that I wanted, and I can delete this back. To execute the script, you can use the Obsidian API. Again, I'm going to write app commands, and here I'm going to choose the execute command by ID, and I'm going to open my bracket. I'm going to paste my script ID, and I'm going to close the bracket, and when I press enter, then you can see that the script was executed. I'm asked about the grid size, and I can close this. Now, if I copy this script to my clipboard and I come over to my random image, and instead of my startup script that switches to the hand tool, I paste this in here. But again, you need to pay attention to that Now I have the quotation marks that I need to change to these single quotation marks. So that's why it was red. Now if I switch back to Excalidraw drawing, then when the drawing is opened, then the grid script is executed, and you can see in the same way you can execute the auto draw for pen script. Now, the better way or the different way to achieve this is there's an Excalidraw Automate hook, which is executed when a file is loaded. To find out about these hooks, you can come to the Excalidraw Automate how-to. I don't quite keep the how-to up to date, so I'm sorry about that, but there's one part of the how-to that is super useful, and that is the overview of attributes and functions. So when I click here, this opens this page right here. You can also click here on the actual source code, and then it's going to download it, but you can read it right here. These are all the Excalidraw Automate functions with some description around it, and I'm going to look for the onFileOpenHook. So you can see here, this is the hook. The way the hooks work is if you give the hook a value, then the hook will be executed whenever the hook needs to be executed. So you can see here on file create, on file open, on paste, etc. But now we are going to use the onFileOpenHook, and then you can place your script there. The hook will receive a data object that will have these three values to them. So let's see how this works. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to just add to my onFileOpen, that was the name, right? onFileOpenHook, onFileOpenHook equals, I'm going to say data like this. And right now for demonstration, I'm going to add that this should be a console log data. So now all I'm going to do is then I open a drawing, then it is going to execute this script and print the data value to the console log. So when I press enter, then nothing happened, or actually the hook was installed. Now if I close this and open this drawing again, then you will see that, well, two things happen. Of course, the grid script was executed, but here the console log data was also added, and you can see here that I have my Excalidraw file open, and you can see here that the file is called random image. I have all this data here. So that reminds me to, first of all, remove the onload script like this. I'm going to switch back to Excalidraw drawing. And so what do we do with this information? Well, we're going to use Templater to automatically start our script when Obsidian starts up. And Templater is going to install the onFileOpenHook to Excalidraw. So how do we do this? I'm going to open my Templater folder here, and in Templater I have a subfolder called Startup. You don't necessarily need to have it in a subfolder. I like to keep my startup scripts separately. So here I'm going to type in to create a new script, and I'm going to call this EA onload. So this is going to be the name of my script. And the way to create a Templater script is like this, that I add the opening and the closing sign. So this will tell Templater that we have a template script to be executed. And now we can start to write our script. Before we write the script, I have a small trick that I create a JavaScript comment. So this is how you create a comment like this, and whatever you write here is not going to execute it. It's just a text or comment. And instead of having that random text in my comment, I'm going to add my JavaScript code block header like that. And so under this now, when I write, then Obsidian is going to do the formatting of my source code. And I'm going to create a very quick script here. I'm going to start by creating, so maybe I'm going to copy the script and I'm going to walk you through the script, and I'm going to share the script in the video description so you can find it for yourself. But here, let me just explain to you, this is probably easier and faster what I'm doing here. So the script itself has a lot of supporting material. This is at the heart of the script. So I'm adding to the window Excalidraw AppState onFileOpenHook. So this is exactly the same as we did earlier here, that I no longer have here. So this was the EA onFileOpenHook equal data. So that's the same, just instead of EA here, I'm referencing the window Excalidraw Automate onFileOpenHook. So I'm writing out the entire name of this object, and I'm adding the same function, so data, and here I have my function. Now in this case, I include this line here in the script. I'm not needing it now, but I'm including this for reference. And you can see here that again I have the set grid script, but as you saw earlier, I could add the any other script I wanted. So what does the script do? Well, the script starts with this part in the beginning where I have these two lines of code. So what does this do? I check if, because when Obsidian starts up, then plugins start one by one after another. And it could be that Excalidraw Automate is started after Templater starts. So because I don't know when Templater runs the auto start script, whether I'm going to have Excalidraw available or not, I need to check if Excalidraw Automate is available. And to avoid getting into an infinite loop, because what if I've turned off Excalidraw Automate, then this is going to run in the background eating resources, I add a watchdog. The watchdog is simply a counter that after trying 50 times, I'm going to stop trying and give up. So the way this works is I initialize watchdog to 0, then I run this while script or while loop, and in the while loop I check if Excalidraw Automate is still not available, and if we have not yet reached 50, by adding watchdog ++, I increase the value of the variable here in place. Then I await 50 milliseconds until I try again. You can make this to 100 milliseconds or whatever, so this is up to you what timing you want to add here. But anyway, after 50 tries, if Excalidraw is still not available, then before moving on, so when the watchdog reaches 50, or if Excalidraw Automate is available, then the code is going to move to the next line. And here, if Excalidraw Automate is still not available, then I'm going to exit the further execution. If, however, Excalidraw Automate is available, then I'm going to set the value of the onFileOpenHook to my function. So this is my function right here, and I'm going to just add, after the initialization, a quick note in the console log that the script was successfully installed, or the onload hook was successfully installed. So this is part one. I created my onload template. Part two is I need to go to the templater settings. So here's the templater settings. I need to scroll down to the startup templates. And here I need to choose my startup template, and let's just search for the startup EA onload template like this. And I'm just going to click here, add a new startup template. With this, I've added my EA startup EA onload markdown file as a template, which is this template right here. And now if I restart Obsidian, I'm going to use the command palette, reload app without saving. Going to hit enter. This will restart Obsidian, and I can open the developer console, and hopefully in the developer console I can see the message Excalidraw onFileOpenHook is installed. And if now I open a drawing, so I'm going to come here and open my random image, then when I open the drawing, the script is executed and I can enjoy the benefits of running the script automatically. All I'm checking is that yes, indeed, my Excalidraw onFileOpen tag is not here. So this was in fact the templater, the onFileOpenHook that I installed with templater that does this. So again, I recognize that this video was fast-paced and this was pretty technical, but I hope I have shown you a couple of tips and tricks in terms of finding your way, in the Obsidian API, in the Excalidraw API, in Excalidraw Automate function, by searching GitHub, by looking at the help available. And overall, I also hope that building on these two examples, you can create the automation you need for your onStart script. And this will make Excalidraw even better for your workflows. If you have any questions or if you have suggestions for other similar videos, then please in the comments below let me know and I'll try to respond to them. Thank you.